Good afternoon, everybody. Let me drop the music real quick. There we go. All right. Don't mind my don't mind some of the background music. My son is doing his homework, so we've got that in the background in case he hears some math going on back there. But hopefully everyone's been having a pretty good day. Fairly good start to the day. I mean, overall, the market kind of had some okay movement. I mean, it jumped around a little bit and it went a bit sideways, but it's just kind of hanging out right now. Apparently, it's not homework. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on today so far, going into the end of the day. Big movement on the NASDAQ, obviously, just screaming to the upside, and with this amount of bullish pressure to the upside, obviously the goal of the buyers, the job of the buyers, is to sustain price up here, right? Buyers want to see it holding up above those 12,490s, and they're getting the job done more or less. Pulled back a little bit, but now that structure is broken, trying to get a bit more continuation. Nice little flat top, and we've got a rising base coming into play, so rising support allows buyers to try to come in at the lows and get a push back up. Still not necessarily convinced that they're ready to go higher just yet, especially considering that the last time we just poked through the highs, there was a big bump in volume, suggesting more profit taking. It just doesn't seem like it's quite ready to go yet. If anything, it seems like they probably want some cheaper prices, which... Well, if they're looking for cheaper prices, that means that all the buyers that came in up here just got a little bit stuck. See if they're able to keep things going or not, or what they want to do here. Nice hefty pullback. Starting to see some pretty big volume coming in too. Where's that volume coming in? Stacked up a little bit more at 95.75. Sellers trying to get a bit more continuation. Oh, I just realized the logo's like smack on top of my face, huh? How about, let me do this. How about up here? Let me just slide my face around real quick. Oh, that's funny. What's all the garbage at the bottom, though? Ugh. All right, here. Let's do this. That's awkward. No, you know, whatever. I'll fix it later. So, don't mind my face moving around on the screen there. I'm just trying to fix things. I just realized the logo was on top of my face. Although, actually, I guess if it's going to go anywhere, that would be the spot to do it. Huh? Oh, there we go. Ah. There. That's close. Big bear drive to the downside. Big chunk of volume coming in 87.50. A lot of volume coming in at the 87.50s. The market's trying to stay below it. See it attempting to pressure underneath 87.50. It's not allowing the market to come back up. Sellers are trying to get that push down. It's back above it. Sellers need to push down. Sellers breaking back down below that volume node at 87.50. Still super range bound. Down here at the bottom, not showing really a whole lot of context either way. This could be a big profit taker, or this could be a big buyer looking to reverse this on a quick dip. I mean, they're putting in some pretty heavy volume. If we get a better picture of what's going on down here. POC's still up at 12.510 on this small little sample area. Definitely created a bit of a shelf there. I would still suggest, at least for now, that, well, buyers tried getting it going, and now they kind of gave up. See if they want to get another pop back up. Those 510s... There's also a big seller ahead of the 510s at 509, interestingly enough. Would be interested to see if maybe they can get a little bit of a jump up into that 509, 510 area for a rejection back down. This zone, this pullback that the buyers are trying to get back up, this is kind of the last defense. If they're going to hold it, this is going to be where they need to hold it. Sellers putting some pressure back on again. S&P to the downside as well, with a very nice bear move lower. I still think these bulls are stuck. I was looking at this area earlier, but it just never came back. All right, quick dip underneath the lows. NASDAQ's still up almost 1%. I mean, looking at the bigger picture on the 15, could end up just being a little bit of a wedge. Might be trying to create the bottom of it right now. That shifted POC back to the upside, though, right at the end, that's a bummer. That's going to make it real hard for the buyers to try to push back up through these 20s. Well, we'll see. If the sellers are going to continue it back down, it's not likely they're going to want to try to push from way down here. I would rather see like 92 if it can pull back a little bit. See if it wants to keep pushing lower. little bit lower still, 89.75s. Possibly even 93 quarters if they really want to try it. Big candle gapping to the downside too on the 5-minute chart, which would suggest that there is some definite potential downside movement here. I mean, that projects back down to the lows, 12,467. Market still has a lot of potential to keep kind of growing back down, if that makes sense. Decaying, whatever you want to call it. Lower still, now at 88.50. S&P also has downside gapping between the top bear bar there. That offers up objectives all the way below 36.40. Sheesh. Still potential to go. I just can't sell this far down. Support coming into play 74.5. The big zone of interest, if it does decide to come back, be back up to that POC zone around 510s. That's a big area of interest. Feel like I've been waiting for this thing all day. It'll pull back eventually. Next setup goes by. It'll pull back eventually. Gotta stick to the rules. That secondary zone at 90 quarter looks really nice. I'm just not so I'm not so sure it's going to make it that far up. Support bounce off 74.56. Not really any big volume. I mean, there was a nice little pop there at 75, but that could also be simply driven by the fact that it was at 75. It's a psychological level too. There was some volume that triggered there though. Yeah, that's too cool. I don't need that. A little lower still. Now at, well, 485.50. Next zone. Still holding this area, trying to break through. From the S&P's perspective, realistically, if it can pull back anywhere inside of here, it's got some open gapping around 48 quarter, and that's going to be a zone of interest by itself. So 48 quarter, 49 quarter, anywhere in this area. 50 quarter. Well, we've got still a little over 16 minutes to go, so we've got some time yet. Still just kind of balancing. Like, story of my life today on the NASDAQ. Just pull back once. I think I can. All right, well, we've got a nice bear descent to the downside. I want to see what kind of volume comes in here. Obviously, there's scattered volume all over the place. Notice the lack of volume increasing as the market's falling lower. That's kind of giving an idea that nobody's really taking profit yet. We saw a little bit of a balance there, but on low volume. More, no, actually, there's no candle gapping on the next one to the S&P. The NASDAQ also doesn't have any candle gapping. I don't think they've even gone above a previous candle's high. Oh no, they did once back here. Sheesh. Now we're breaking down to new lows. That zone of resistance up there becomes a lot less valid. Got to see if they can get another push. That was a pretty big chunk of volume that hit down there at the 465s. That's right at the lows. 465. I mean, it doesn't really hit anything over here, but that is a pretty obvious low. I wish it lined up a little bit better with like a wedge bottom. Might not be done yet. Still waiting. $4.79. Man, what did it make it up to? 77.50. Okay. Fair enough. Didn't quite make it there. And nothing on the S&P. If it gets up to 46.50, there's definitely a chance that sellers will sell. It's a beautiful bear bar to defend. NASDAQ still waiting. Did it miss it by a tick? Really? Okay. That's the NASDAQ today. That's for sure. Man, it missed me by a tick. And then rolled back over. Oy, well, it's already at the first objective area if it would have filled me short, but it didn't, so... Well, can't say I didn't try, that's for sure. Come on. Man alive. Alright, well, we'll give it some more time. I was looking to short at 79. It went to 78.75. See if they want to come back up. Now the question is, since we're seeing so much support around this area, is this just a range low being defended? I mean, if we carry all of that volume back, actually, get rid of the pre-market stuff. Just after the open, I mean, you can see it's a huge top-weighted POC, which is not good. If buyers are long still, you know, that's a good sign that buyers are getting out and potentially taking profit. So this doesn't help them at all. See if the S&P can back up a little bit. Still waiting for 46.50. NASDAQ missed me by a fraction of a hair. A bull engulfing bar, I'm going to back off on that. 46.50 I'm not so interested in. 47.50 will offer up a slightly different approach. When it goes bull engulfing like that at this end of the day, no. No thanks. Did it fill? I mean, it might have filled scalpers on that little bit of a back flush, but when it goes bull engulfing, no thanks. Jeez. There it goes. Backs right back off. All right, well, we're in the final 10. I wanted to see if I could back off a little bit further to get a slightly better fill, but now bulls are going to be coming in above this. 47, so 48 would be the zone now. Got to back off a little bit further and see if they can give me something better. NASDAQ flushing aggressively lower. Sheesh. Big breakdown through a new low. Watch these lows down here. See if they're hitting some major profit target areas. If there's a giant wall of orders that comes in down here and the market just stops dead in its tracks, we know what happened. Awesome, Dave. Good to hear. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Or are enjoying it. We still got like 9 minutes. Man, well, I mean, in hindsight, it would have been better just to take the original entry on the S&P, but when it goes engulfing like that, it's not worth the risk for me personally. I stayed out of it. Hindsight, of course, being 2020. NASDAQ going back down and testing the lows of that wedge. Now, this is the zone where if buyers are looking for this to rotate, this is where they're going to want to see it, right? We're not seeing any volume confirming it yet, but at the end of the day, this is the perfect time for buyers to try to get this thing to reverse. I want to see, it's a little early. So what I would like to see is the sellers try to come in, and I want to see those sellers get absolutely obliterated. See the sellers get dumpstered, and if we can get them on the wrong foot, then they start getting squeezed, and then we start seeing the continuation move to the upside. That's what I want to see right now. Big bull bounce off the lows. Wow. Hello? Bear bar? What bear bar? I don't know what you're talking about. This is a great sign, though. This is exactly what I want to see. The sellers who were trying to sell this move down now they're on the back foot. They're thinking, crap, that's not what I wanted. Wait a minute. Is this... no, it's not delayed. Well, I mean, there's going to be a natural delay just because of latency, but I have it running as ultra low latency, as low as I can. So as an example, finger up, and just saw it. Okay, so there's about a 4-second delay, but that's on my end, right? That's me transmitting it to YouTube and then waiting for it to go back through and then come back to me. So the latency for you is probably closer to like 2 seconds. Maybe 3. It's about as good as I can get it. Ooh, come on, buyers. I love this snapback area. We have the sellers who are stuck right at the bottom. They're stuck right at the bottom with a huge trap below the lows. There wasn't any one big block of orders either, which would suggest that this isn't being reversed on one big profit-taking move. This is being absorbed. It's an absorption move. We got a lot of stops underneath the lows, and buyers just gobble them up. They're trying to put a cap at 84 to get probably a pullback. Running out of time. We only got about 6 minutes. $73.75. I mean, at this rate, I'm willing to even take a slightly more aggressive stance with MITs just to see if I can get the move. I'll even step up 74 and 68.50s. Just need that snap. S&P, huge bull move back to the upside again. So with this overall momentum, it's leaving behind some really nice candle gaps. And I like this area, 46, 45, etc., for a potential snapback for buyers to try to kick it back up. Looks really, really nice. Just a matter of whether or not it's going to be able to follow through. First, I mean, it's got a couple different options as far as the S&P goes. I like that giant bull engulfing candle, and I love how it bounced off of the wedge lows on the NASDAQ. Ooh, man, that adds a lot of emphasis. Hey, how's it going, Laurent? Little bit of a pullback. That's all we need. Man, my hands are freezing. I gotta get my hoodie again. Jeez. All right. 46 is the zone of interest for the S&P. Tested, but no fill. Story of my life. Come on. No fill, huh? All right. 46. There we go. So upside objective initially is going to be the scalp, but larger objectives still have potential all the way back up to like 49s. First objective lowers 46.50 now. Is it not going to give the pullback down to 74? Thank you for the how to read volume video. I really appreciate it. Definitely. I'm glad you liked it. Hopefully you found it useful. Tested that next spot, but no fill. There we go. So primary objective is still up at the 49s, but next zone is at 46. Ooh, nice little quick snapback on the NASDAQ. Objectives for continuation on the NASDAQ back to the upside. I mean, realistically, if this thing wants to let loose and go, it's got a shot at lifting, I mean, at least 86 quarter. S&P not seeing that cycle back up, but we've got the end of the day around the corner. There you go, NASDAQ. All right. Objective filled initially on the S&P. Final targets for the stop's going to be at 45. I'll lock in a point. It's either going to fill the stop or the target, one of the two. As far as the NASDAQ goes, realistically, at this point, I want this thing to squeeze. Okay, never mind. I was going to try to move my target up and try to rotate out of that one a little bit more, but I guess it just wanted to jump and hit the target. That's cool, too. I'm going to lock in another point on the S&P. They tested 49, but I didn't get the fill. Well, if you were, I wasn't able to move my target fast enough. I like the NASDAQ potentially up to 98, and if it really wants to break away end of day style, then we've got all the way up to 521. I just wasn't fast enough in moving my target. It stopped out on the S&P on that last portion there. Final 1 minute left. Nice little bounce. Beautiful play. It just didn't want to follow through, I guess. I had to wait the whole afternoon. How long would it take for someone with a bit of trading know-how to make a living, like $5K a month off of trading? Realistically, it's tough to answer those kinds of questions because everybody's different. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to be able to tell everybody, hey, you'll be able to pick up trading in a week and, you know, buy a Ferrari next week. But that's just not the case. You're just not going to get that kind of salesmanship from me. Trading's a pain. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life. So making that work consistently over and over and over again for a repetitive income basis, that's something that takes a lot of time. And that's not what I know people don't like hearing that, but that's what it comes down to. I mean, you're looking at, some people can hit it within a year. Some people it takes 3 years. Some people it takes a decade. Some people just don't get it. It really depends. Everyone's different for that answer. And so I don't really have a solid answer, but usually within like the first 3 years, that's kind of the zone. But that certainly does not mean that if you're on like year 5 that you're behind. Everybody's different. I've heard of traders where it's taken them 20 years. It just depends. But I know that I wish I could give you a more defined answer. That's just not the case. Realistically, I think the best way to start would be starting with as small of an account as you can afford, and make sure that it's an amount of money that you can afford to lose, because you probably will. New traders and generally traders as a whole, that's what happens. Most people, especially when it's a newer account, blow their account out. Make sure that the account that you blow out is cheap. Right? Don't lose a ton of cash on the first one. It's not worth it. Ask anybody who started off with 50,000, 100,000. How'd that go? You know? So it's just not the way that it works. And so, I mean, when it comes to starting out, especially with the benefit of having micros are a huge benefit. Those are incredible. Because now you can come in with a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 account and still only risk like $50 on a trade. It's nuts that you can do that now. And now they've got the options on the micros and all of that. So, I mean, it's incredible. You know, it's kind of the proving ground. In my mind, if you start in the micros and you can build from 1 micro to 2, and then to 3, and then to 4, and then and eventually build your way up to 1 mini, and then from 1 mini building up to 2 minis, and then 3 minis, earn your right to trade the size. Start small, right? I hate using the term use house money, because that would suggest that it's not your. I don't like that term. But that's kind of my mentality. I want to grow a small investment to something large that I can then reinvest somewhere else and then start over again. You know, that's kind of the goal. But take it as you will. I've got to make it to a couple meetings. Where's the Ferrari? Yeah, I know, right? I'm not a car guy. If you're going to see any investment in money terms, it's going to be in computer stuff. It's not going to be in the car. I don't care about the cars anymore, man. I lost the gumption on that when a deer decided to total my BMW, and then got rid of the Porsche. It doesn't fit the family lifestyle, man. It just doesn't work. Yeah. Anyway, waste of money nowadays. All right, that's going to do it. I got a couple meetings to make it to anyway, so hopefully you guys had a great day of trading. Hopefully you all had a fantastic afternoon. I mean, we had to wait all afternoon for the setups, but it worked out, I guess. That's going to do it. Enjoy, rest up, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow, right? Have a good one. We'll talk to you.